with X and Anne. Enjoy.
Ian, thank you very much indeed. I feel like I'm playing musical chairs. I was sat there before, but now I'm sat here. It's great.
Yeah, you're just duplicating yourself every single time.
We're trying to be in two places at once, which is a little bit difficult. But we are ready to get underway with map number 2 here. We have got Chalet for our viewing pleasure. Deathrow versus Viperio, the second map inside of this best of 3. Deathrow obviously coming in after that win over on Villa. Probably looking to make it a clean 2-0.
Yeah, they could. I mean, I would want this game to go into the full final game.
It'd be right, wouldn't it?
We had an overtime. I mean, I could definitely expect an overtime on this map as well. This map being Viperio 86's pick, it's giving them an upper hand in the social vote as well. Whilst last map it seemed to go towards Deathrow's way, it's now going more towards Viperio 86's way.
I think the chat know. The chat always know, and that is being shown there inside of the pick. You would wager that Viperio are going to do quite well here. We know Viperio to be a good and accomplished team on Chalet, but we've already seen one max OT. So this is by no means a clear-cut thing as to who is going to walk away the winner out of this one. We're probably going to see all 3 maps again. We're probably going to go to another overtime. I'd love to get to a coastline, but for now, here we go. Where would it be on a Chalet without a Thatcher ban?
I mean, where would it be on any map? Except for Coastline, probably.
Except for Coastline?
Ban. Yeah. I mean, Thatcher is a quite often happening ban. We see him being banned out here as well by Deathrow. And that allows Viperio 86 to literally ban any other operator that they would want to get rid of. And what operators that are going to be? They're going to ban the Buck again, just like they did last time. I mean, Chalet a map definitely allowing you to play vertical, allowing you to play with a lot of lines of sight. And not having the Buck in there is going to make that a lot more difficult. You're going to have to rely on the sledge, which will make you more vulnerable to C4s and everything as well. So the Buck taken away here will also allow Viperio to pick the first defensive operator they're going to ban out. Also going to be the Velk, so they're staying consistent ban-wise, because they banned these 2 operators during the last map as well. But obviously going to get a lot less information on where attackers might be.
Valk's a great ban. Anywhere we go, Valk is becoming the Thatcher of the defender bans, as Valkyrie is very regularly found in this banning phase. Mirror to round things out here from Deathrow. Again, not too much of a surprise. There's a lot of good use for a mirror and the mirror windows on Chalet. Doesn't really free things up all too much. These are very, very standard bans. I think the biggest sort of red herring ban there against what we would normally see for a Chalet is potentially the Buck. But given what Viperio have done and have previously done, they're quite partial to the Buck ban.
Yeah, and I definitely like to see the Vamai not being banned. I mean, we saw Deathrow banning Vamai last time, but they didn't really put emphasis on that later on with nades and everything that they did from underneath with pressure. So, I mean, the Vamai being in play could potentially make it a little more defender favorite. Obviously, we know Chalet has a lot of lines of sight. It allows for great roaming and everything as well. We do see that Tachunga being 6th pick into an alibi. I would have expected that one to be 6th picked. We also see a 0. I mean, we heard Demo talk about no 0, no possible, no matter anything to hold flanks off. We do see him being brought out now. Could potentially get a lot of information. Could shoot mood jammers and everything, so you can go for an easier breach.
Zero's another one for Chalet. I think Zero's a really another underrated operator, and one that a lot of teams are now starting to lean into, and probably even more so given the double hard breach gadget that we now see. That's something, again, that you can factor into these bans and the picks of anyone that's got the secondary hard breach gadget. You think about Buck. Buck has now got 2, as does everybody else. We see the Buck banned, we see the 0 picked. It's a little bit more of a balanced thing there. Deathrow going to be starting things off on the defense here. Viperio 86 going to be kicking off on the attack. Now, we sort of built this a little bit earlier on as Chalet being a map where there are opportunities for the attackers here. You mentioned the lines of sight. There's a lot of ways that you can very easily approach and start to cut off and almost round these defenders up. We need to see if Viperio 86 are going to be sort of going down that route. They've only brought the Hibana, so it shows an intention that they're going to try and get something open. I would wager, because it is the Hibana, that there's more likelihood that that's going to be deployed on the Solarium side of things. So that's where we can see Akari start off on the rappel.
I'm definitely liking the setup of Deathrow here. A lot of roamers, a lot of utility invested in upstairs as well. But I don't think Joe is aware of the player being here, but Jax definitely wasn't. That's the mute gone quite early into the round. Really good information gathering by Joe as he kind of drones himself in, but also gets the kill there. One advantage for Viperio 86 quite early into the round. There are still players above. We see Fusion here still around Piano, and I thought there was a player around library, which now is going on to piano as well to assist Fusion here. Quite some early control we would see from Viperio. They also have Astro or Solar caught off with potential rotates. Now Joe is caught off by an alibi. Goes to hold this big window here, but Rykos is on low HP. Could potentially get pushed out here as Neox goes down as well.
Akari going to pick up the second kill of the round here for Viperio. Everything coming fairly easily up until this point. Joe eventually taken out. I think he'd given the game away. He'd really played his life for quite some time there on that new balcony door and eventually just got to the end of his allotted time there. Information here for draw as there's plenty of red pings available for both sides here. It's going to result in kills once again, trading back and forth. But the advantage firmly with Viperio. Draw to pick the final two. Viperio seemingly no real obstacle there to getting themselves in. We didn't even see players transition in through Solar. That's usually an area that utility is exchanged very heavily. You're looking at laser gates, Whammies, as you mentioned earlier, the Jaegers, all of that sort of stuff, even a shotgun playing on the stairs, that's all the sort of stuff that you're going to be looking toward and going, we need to be playing those positions. We can't give away Solar so easily. Viperio just walked in.
Yeah, the same as it did with Office, to be honest, because, well, if you're going to attack Kitchen, you'd like to have some kind of top 4 control. If you get some lines of sight from above, you can cut off so many rotations. You can force defenders out of their standard holds and positions and everything. But they were given that top 4 control fairly easily. Way too easily, I would say. I'm definitely liking to see this performance by Draw so far already. Is able to step up quite big for his team with the Jackal tracks and with those last 2 kills in the round. Definitely being able to step up more than he did in the game before this one. So that's good for the mental on the side of Viperio 86 as well. Deathrow not going to go for Kitchen once again. They do go for Master and Bedroom this time. Curious to see where their setup is going to be focused around, as they had quite of a roam last time, but it didn't really work out that well for them.
It's essentially the same setup again, because we're looking to be dealing with the same areas. You know, you're unlikely to be sending somebody in below with the lineup that Viperio are bringing. There's a little bit of setup going on below. Obviously, we have some Nitro cells in play. We've got one in Neox's hands, so we may look to try and deploy that vertically, but he's more than likely not going to be given the chance to do so. Instead, Fusion going for the spawn peak. We can see that there's going to be no silhouettes over toward that side, but always worth a try. Nice little rotation there. Could be an early exchange here. Great opener onto Joe. Joe getting caught out there. Draw very quickly looking to try and back that up and will get it off as an immediate refrag. The hatch being open gives him something to worry about initially. But opening exchange equal 1-for-1.
The rotates for Fusion will definitely allow him to move very freely around Kitchen, around Dining and West 9. Also, Jack's on top of the library stairs here. Rykos also in the kitchen downstairs. I do notice that the attack is definitely coming from this way. Windows being open just a little bit, but having that early kill onto Joe will not allow for as easy information gathering as they would have if Joe is still in play. No more replicators, no more nades potentially to do something from. Only Akri has 2 more left that he could potentially do some damage from underneath. Tries to get a player around West Main or even all the way into the bathroom. Does a lot of damage onto Neox, but not enough to kill him. Has the C4 still, Neox, so he could potentially do a lot with that later on. The Jackal track's definitely coming in play here, as they do know where the position of this defender is, but now they need to put a follow-up onto that. They need to push that defender out of his position or potentially get a kill on him, because time is leaning towards the defender side here, with 1.5 minutes left in play.
Draw looking to try and push on in. Bit of drone work going on here, as we just need to find out what the status of Solar is. Draw still looking to push his way on through, and the vertical control yet to be established.
Yeah, I mean,
86 moving quite slowly here.
Nothing really happening around Solar either. Draw is now coming up the library stairs here. Gets one more track to defend, see where the defender's position is, and has one player pinned down in box. Now, that player is going to go for an aggressive swing, but the pings keep coming out on his position, and Draw's basically got Neox here in a very good position, is able to hold him down. As soon as Neox goes first, he cannot take one bullet. Flank coming in from Rykos. Gets the kill onto Draw here, which allows Neox to move a little bit more freely as well. And now the players all around Library Stars from Viperio 86 are gone. Curly onto the big window. Monkey tries to go for a plant, with still 3 defenders being in play. C4 was potentially there as well. Curly gets a kill onto Fusion. Was potentially able to pick up another one. Kari then, and that is 1v3 for Neox on low HP. Beautiful kill onto Curly. Swings onto Bathroom here, but does not know where the attackers are. I don't think he knows what a diffuser is either, but tries to position himself around. He needs to move, he needs to do something. With 20 seconds left on that diffuser, is not going to be a lot of time for him to play around. Very little HP as he tries to find the last 2 attackers where they are, but they're playing that safe. They know that they have to wait before Neox just goes and push something, because they have the advantage HP-wise. It's a go to get the last kill then, and Viperio picks up their second round. A strong attack from them so far.
Good attack, but it wasn't without its obstacle. And I think there's something that Viperio got really lucky with there was their information gathering. They had drones left at the end. They were getting flanked, and they didn't know that that was happening. And almost, the worst part of it all almost, is that Curly still had 2 Argus cameras left on the 0. Now, at that moment, when you've got utility like Argus cameras left, and you're getting flanked, you've got to ask yourself, why aren't those being sent out earlier? If that intended use wasn't required inside of the round, you've still got to use that utility. Because that could have been an even cleaner round, or it could have been a round that ends up going to Deathrow if Neox had a little bit more health, had something to make a push on, still had his C4 in hand, whatever it might have been. A couple of ifs, a few if chances in there, as it were. Viperio did a great job of getting the diffuser down. That was obviously their win condition, but there were more opportunities for that to be a little bit easier there for themselves.
It wouldn't have gotten this far, let's say, if Neox was killed by Draw, or if he was killed in the initial gunfight that he was in, or the grenade that Curry tried to throw on him. But, I mean, Neox was in a held-down position. There was nowhere he could go, as they had these little lines of sight onto the box there. We did see Draw on the stairs, and it's a very easy call-out for Neox to give, like, hey, someone's holding me from top library. Go on and flank them. There was no information on the side of Viperio 86 to make that flank not possible, so, I mean, they went for it, and that could have potentially gone very wrong as well. Now we're seeing a bar defense. Deathrow not winning any of the defenses, but they do tend to switch up their sights still. Not trying to go for another attempt on those sites, as they now go for a bar. Do like to see the Frosted play, especially for this site, as there are a lot of windows you can jump in, especially if you want to go for a top 4 take and try and push players out of library. There are a lot of windows you can put Frost Mets on there, and yeah, if you get stuck in one of those, it's going to be a very difficult position.
Yeah, you think of Frost and immediately you think of Library. You think of the deployable shield that you can play at the top of Library stairs and the different zones that you can start to work with. Joe's seeing a lot of pressure very early on into the round. Gets some good chip damage in onto Rykos. Monkey going to find the first kill. Joe hits him with the turn but misses the shots once again. Unsuccessful on the entry and everything other than that first round. Joe's been first blood for Viperio, I think every round up until this point, so really not having that standout, and it's almost like he's trying to force it a little bit. He had everything going for him there, but once again, just got a little bit too far ahead of the drone. Still, all is not lost. It's an equal 4 versus 4, with the opening exchange being the entry for the Jaeger. That is pretty typical. Ooh, great shot there onto Draw. He's been punished. It's not often that you see those window angles lost, especially from a peeking defender, but that's something that Deathrow have made work a couple of times so far.
I definitely like the positioning of Fusion as well, as I mean, we saw Trainer trying to bait Joe coming after him there in the engagement here in Piano, but they didn't really know that Fusion was going to be there too. He was able to pick up a quite easy kill onto Joe there. I mean, we did see Joe have a really good start in the last map. He was a very strong performance, was able to swing left, right, center and kill a lot of players. But now that he isn't having such a strong performance, it seems like Viperio 86 is still doing fine. I mean, they've won 2 rounds so far. They're halfway through their 3rd attack round. It's not all lost. They do have Monkey downstairs trying to go for a take up onto these library stairs, potentially trying to walk onto the site without any of the defenders known, but there's still defenders above. They might have hatches open. They might have really good lines of sight to see where the players of Viperio 86 are.
Everything's slowing down at the 45-second mark. Barry is looking to push through, but he doesn't have anything aside from a nade to really burn that laser gate with. Not even got a drone left. Could try and tank the damage, I guess, but Monkey He's looking for an in here. He doesn't know there's going to be a player on the top of those stairs. Diffuser now cold at the 25-second mark. That is not what you want to be dealing with. Curly going to use the Gon 6 to try and make his way into Library, but I haven't heard a Frostmat go yet, and this is getting to that dangerous Frostmat time. It may not even come to that, though, as Fusion is just going to collect those final 2 kills. Bish, bash, bosh, easy as you like. 86 getting run ragged there. They could not even take control of the Library, albeit it wasn't a main focus. They chose for that master bedroom push instead, but it just looked like a round that didn't really have a clear idea.
Yeah, this round definitely Fusion and Rikers both stepped up. I think they all collected the kills for this round. A good roam they had around Master. I definitely liked how they were trying to lurk players into getting into those engagements. I mean, you know Joe wants to go for those engagements. He wants to get that early pick. But if there's a player lurking around the bedroom door, just holding angles onto where Joe might be pushing from, then you're able to get these easy kills. Again, no more Yana replicators, no more nades and everything in play that you're missing if Joe ends up being this entry death here. So, well played by Deathrow, and now that they've won one of the defensive sides, it means that they have to go to another defensive side. They're picking Master again, the side that they defended into the second round. Well, and if we look at that, it was a all over the place take, I reckon, from Viperio. They went for a little bit of Solar, they went for a little bit of top Library, got flanked on top of Library, but they ended up winning the round. Could they do it again?
Quite possibly. Let's see how the setup differs here inside of round number 4. Got the Maestro cameras from Neox getting placed inside of Solar. Joe's drone ready and waiting at that main door. Fusion not opting for the little cheeky spawn peek this time. It didn't work for him previously, but it kind of shows the intent of a player if that's what they're sort of looking for in the early part of the round. Just trying to get that little bit of an advantage if things really aren't going in your favor. I said that we weren't seeing Fusion go for it. I honestly thought that he was just biding his time making that rotation, but instead he was inside of Library, question mark? Did we see the little logo?
No, we don't see the little logo, but he's dead.
I mean, he's gone.
Yeah.
So it was his intention to hit that spawn peak, but he got sat down straight away by Draw.
There we go, into the bathroom. That was a really long angle where he got peeked. I think he got pre-fired from one of the windows,
Maybe
but I mean, a lot of people say Jaeger is a set and forget operator, right? It's okay to lose a Jaeger. I mean, rather lose a Jaeger, I reckon, than a Mai or a Maestro. It's not ideal to lose a Fragger like Fusion, since his performance in the last round was really good, but...
Especially given the inside of map 2, it's almost like rise of the map 2 players. Last map, it was Jackson Joe. This time it's Fusion. He's in that conversation for being the top frag. It's Draw on the side of 86. Different players are stepping up here.
I think that's good to see. I mean, Draw didn't probably have the performance he wanted to have in the previous map, so him stepping up now is definitely good for the mental of Viperio 86. Now that you find Jax and Rikers both on lower HP, they should be easier to finish off here. Joe is actually pushing into office quite aggressively, but this time we have the Banshees stopping him from being able to do so. As you will get slowed down, your vision gets kind of like blurry and shaky and everything, so he isn't able to pick up the easy frags that he had last time around this office door, especially now that it's also getting barricaded. Goes for another walk around the map, as he gets spotted on the cam here. That should give the call to Rikers that Joe was there. Rikers able to pick up an easy kill on Joe there as he had the information. He's still able to battle a player onto trophy window. There's one of the Argus launchers. Spotted out where Rikers is, but there's no follow-up, so he still gets to be in trophy.
How's Rikers got away with that? He was basically called out on the Argus camera. It was maybe visible there. Looks like it isn't going to matter regardless, as Neox, he's picked up 2. The Alder does so much work, and the control and the take of Solar has been very unsuccessful indeed. And that's unusual, especially given that we didn't even have a player on the stairs. Typically, the problems come with taking Solar when you've got a player with a shotgun playing on the stairs, or a smoke, or a C4, or something like that. But that wasn't even a factor. Instead, now we're looking at Draw and Curly to try and pick the pieces up here inside of this round. Curly has recovered the diffuser. He did so fairly quickly, but there isn't a clear way into the site here. Nothing getting opened. I don't believe we even saw the X-Kairos used, but this is where the hard breach gadgets can come in. 2 holes can now be made, and even at the 15-second mark, that is going to be something. It's enough at least to force Jax out of position, and Curly is given an opportunity, but cannot capitalise on it. Downs Neo in process, 8 seconds left. Can he land some shots? He's on for the triple. He needs the quad. He's got 1 health and a dream, but is he going to be given enough time? Adriano given no reason to move there. A much closer round than they will have wanted. dominated, but a round that was Deathrow's almost from the start.
I mean, initially we saw Viperio 86 try and go for a completely different take when they were initially attacking Master Bedroom. Now they tried to go for the Solar take, and as you said, there shouldn't be that much of a problem if there's no player on Solar. Should be an easy take. However, they had a player in Trophy, and they were able to stop Joe trying to come up the West main stairs, so you can't potentially do a lot from downstairs. You have players around the bathroom windows trying to jump in, but getting picked off as well. The Maestro getting a double kill there really helped into the favor of Deathrow as well. Now that they've won both sides, or 2 sides in a row, they're forced to go through a 3rd side. They go back to Kitchen and Dining, the site they went on initially, or they started the game on, and now we see an Oryx. Very interesting to see an Oryx. I mean, there is a lot of roam potential on a map like Chalet, but what hatches are you really going to come up from later into the round?
I mean, I'd wager the one that they've just opened there inside a site is maybe a good place to start.
When they're planting, yeah.
Aside from that, you're right. And then even if you've got a good hatch, even if there's somewhere that you think you might be able to get a rotate and get up, it's loud. It's slow. It's cumbersome. It's a really cool mechanic, and it's a hero play if it comes off. But it's one of those things that shouldn't work. On paper, it should not work.
But
it does, occasionally.
Yeah, but did Viperio 86 notice they were getting flanked previous time?
This is the other thing that you got to throw into the mix. What's the awareness level like for Viperio? Are these guys just bringing the Jackal and going, well, we're not going to get flanked, we got a Jackal? That's not really much of a flank rotation. We've seen Curly with 2 Argus cameras left come the end of the round. Yeah, they've won it, but they got flanked. We're not seeing them run the Nomad, which would be, ideal. Big advocate of Nomad. I'm not sure on your thoughts.
Yeah, definitely. And we saw them play it last game as well.
Yeah. Bank's another one of those maps where you have got to be a bit more mindful if you're not holding a lot of the angles from the outside. So we shall see. I'd love a hero or Oryx play.
Yeah.
I think of the strange things that have happened tonight, that would probably be toward the bottom of the list.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I mean, we saw some 1v4 clutches and everything. Joe being able to pick up the opening kill here. Fusion tries to get away, and you're losing your Legion so early into the round. That is a lot of utility gone now in the hands of Deathrow. No longer able to put any goo mines down. It's just potentially 1, 2, 3 maybe of these goo mines laying around. Should be a lot easier for Viperio 86 to clear these, but I'm not sure if you saw this, Draw also lost a little bit of HP very, very early into the round. Not ideal, but still has a lot of utility to play around with. Jack's playing really aggressive on the office door, waiting for example, a Joe coming around the fluke belt there to get a swing onto this office door, but that is not happening. The players of Viperio 86 are completely somewhere else. There's a Banshee on here, the C4 comes flying out, does not get shot, so it downs Monkey. Joe is able to pick him up, and Jax does not know that the player is actually downed, so can't go for the confirm.
It's a shame that, because if Jackson had known that actually had come through that, and Joe just swings him anyway, and it doesn't even matter. But if Jackson had known that he got the points there for the down, he could have very easily swung and picked himself up 2 kills. Got a player down, that's something that he could look to try and work in. Akari, he's going to pick up 1, Curly a second, as Deathrow just seems to throw caution to the wind, and they're jumping out of windows left and right, but it's not going to matter. A flawless round here for Viperio 86.
I definitely think that's what they needed after they tried to attack the same kind of the bomb site here. Well, a really good room clear actually we saw. There were players above. Initially, you don't want to walk into a doorway where you've just thrown a nade in, but are the defenders really going to expect that? No, I mean, Jax was just waiting to see anyone walk into that doorway, and it was Joe to pick up the kill there. Had he gone for the swing to pick up both the kills on Monkey and Joe, the round could have definitely gone the other way around. Now that they've lost this bomb site, they can go somewhere else. They're going to go to Bar Gaming again. They won that bomb site before, definitely by being able to hold on to as much of the map control for as long as possible. We saw the Frost being in play and everything as well. But I'd like to see a big roam from Deathrow to try and stop the players from coming in from Master Bedroom like they attempted last time.
Yeah, this was a site that Deathrow did quite well on, in all honesty. It was a really bitty push from Viperio. They tried, they essentially every single round, they just go for the same kind of a take, and I don't think that you can always get away with that kind of a take so direct for a bar defense. It needs to be something a little bit different. You know, the bar You've got to try and get a little bit of control upstairs. Games, you've got to try and get inside a library. You need the balcony control. You need a bit of main lobby control, and you need to try and work it all in that sort of a fashion. And Deathrow know this, right? They know where this push is likely going to come from. We've got a load of punch holes there in the bottom of that wall. That's going to allow you to have something to peek from if you're going to be playing main stairs or if you're going to be playing in and around fireplace. You're going to have some sort of lines of sight there. There's so much utility being invested there. It would make loads of sense at this point for Viperio to go, yeah, we know we pushed that way a few times. We've seen that you've invested this utility. We ain't going there this time.
No, and this is why I definitely like the Aruni being brought out on a map like Chalet. I mean, there's so much stuff you can do with the longer lines of sight and the footholds on that off as well. I mean, you have the advantage, likely, as attackers with the scopes that you have, the bigger scopes, but trying to contest these lines of sight where the enemies could literally be on any side of the other wall makes it a lot more scary to push it. Joe with a really long line of sight could have potentially been a one-tap, but got the kill onto Fusion. Fusion, I think, now being the entry death for the second time in a row, as that isn't really ideal for him either. We see Rikers on top of the library stairs, getting assisted by the Frost, but look at the amount of utility that's invested into keeping that shield on top of the library stairs. See a lot of magnets onto the top parts of the hallway here, so that shield isn't going to be gone quite easily. Viperio is going to have a lot of utility to get rid of that shield, and that means that if things go well, Rikers is going to be able to hold up onto this position for a very long time. Two players outside of the display. Whether they're going to try and nade him out, but there's so much utility, you can't get rid of him that easily.
Well, we even see a desperate magnet thrown onto the door frame. It's not going to stop Joe from taking down Adriano, as he has now got a chance to push a little bit further through. The shield now will be removed. This is much better timing here from 86, but Joe's going to get taken out. Just a little bit too over-aggressive there. Still information available for 86, and now we see the drones come through and start to regather. We do have Neox playing on that fireplace as well. Jax is retreated downstairs. He's only 1 HP and doesn't want to get himself into any engagements just yet. There's still a long time to try and hold on here as the DMR tries to pre-fire on through, but it's a slow rate of fire and a difficult job. Quick drop over the top rail, but immediately taken down by Monkey as Jax makes his way up through that staircase to his immediate end. Curly on the Argus camera there. You can see the pings coming through, able to clean that one up. Much better stuff there from Viperio. He had a much deeper and more focused approach to dealing with the player at the top of library stairs, and that was the big thing. It was a great utility burn. They had to throw the kitchen sink at it to get the job done, but eventually they got there.
Yeah, and I mean, definitely the long lines of sight being held by Joe and the piano door. I don't think they expected him that quickly to be in that piano door already. There was one of the players of the defenders like trying to contest that. Also, did you see how one of the players of Viperio 86 was very happy at the fluke jump in after they won that round? He was like doing some squats. Or
oh, he was testing the C key.
Yeah, the C key. Very important that all your keys are working if you're playing a match like this.
Exodus showed us how important the C key was. Like, for real, it wasn't actually troll, it wasn't BM on bank. But you've got to test it. You need to know that it works. Sometimes you've got to crouch, and you've got to crouch quickly.
Yeah, I mean, did you ever try having your crouch on hold instead of toggle?
Mouse 1 for me.
Sure. Do you use C to shoot?
Space.
Ooh.
I'm joking.
I know you're joking, but
I know
it
that's
sounds funny.
It's probably triggered somebody. But no, I'm a mouse. For crouch, I'm a mouse guy. I have it on the side button.
Have you ever held it on hold? Because you can teabag so much faster if you have your crouch.
No, never had it on hold. Okay. I've always been a toggle.
Good tip if you want to be toxic in your games, you know?
Always been a toggle player. Let's see how round 7 shapes up here. First round of the side switch. Viperio, 4 rounds on the attack. It's a refreshing scene, especially given the context of the games that we've seen so far today, for teams to be picking up rounds on the attack. I understand we're on Chalet and that there's opportunity there, but there is opportunity on every map. And Viperio have come out here and they have taken it, arguably given themselves an easy ride of things here. All that is required is an equal 3-3 split, and they will be all over this and sending us into Coastline. But if it continues the way that it has started with Fusion picking off draw, it might not be that straightforward. Now, Fusion's an interesting one because he was first blood for I think the last 3 rounds, maybe the last 4. Yet here on the attack, he's come out and he's like, I know all the spots. I know all the spots I've just died from. Don't worry, guys. I'm going to get the entry here.
And a lot of utility as well. I mean, the Fink can now having to keep the Finca boost on people instead of the health deteriorating after time as well. We do see a stronghold around Master Bedroom. Looks like Draw maybe went a little bit too aggressive there. On the Vigil, we don't really see the Vigil being brought out. I mean, on a map like Chalet, it's a really good pick because you can roam so much and you can stay undetected from drones. But well, now that Viperio 86 is in a man disadvantage, we're gonna have to try and battle this out with just the 4 of them. A very fast take into solo coming out, as Rykus is also able to pick up a kill onto Joe. C4 being tossed out by Curly, but not doing any damage. The players from Deathrow are just walking onto the side. Neox is close to the little small office part as well. He picks up a kill onto Akri. Could go for a plant. There's only 2 more players, no more C4s in play. Curly still holding the window here, but no potential gunfight just yet as Adriano picks up 1. Curly goes for the refactor, but now the diffuser is down and Curly finds himself in a 1v4. A lot of players know where he is, and it's Rykus to get that last kill. A really fast round from Deathrow, and they're definitely showing a strong attack here.
I think Curly's probably a bit gutted that C4 got caught live in HD, because that went on to one of the only non-destructible parts of that very room. A bit unfortunate there for him. I think he knew as soon as it got through that it wasn't going to land as soon as it got thrown, but ultimately it wouldn't have really mattered anyway. We saw Deathrow just walk in and take whatever they wanted. The opening kill, huge. Sure, it was onto a Vigil. It's not onto a lot of utility. But if you think about the way that you're going to try and attack onto Chalet, you're going to want to try and get a lot of information there. You're going to try and get the drone out and figure out exactly what's going on. A Vigil can do wonders for slowing that down. And to immediately start in a 4 versus 5 is never, ever ideal. But we will see how it continues. We've got a couple of fresh picks on the side of Viperio. Not only are they going for the Thunderbird, but also the recently buffed Castle is being selected.
Yeah, I mean, Castle having 4 barricades instead of 3 since last week will definitely stop Deathrow from just being able to walk on the side, at least.
It's a good response. That's a good idea, isn't it?
That's what they're hoping. I mean, the barricades on the solar windows here, that's where the players from Deathrow came from initially. Rappelling onto the solar windows, just jumping in the solar. I mean, was there any presence onto the solar stairs with like a shotgun or anything to hold players from jumping in? No, the only person they had was Curly, downstairs, with the C4, that he also missed. And he wasn't able to put emphasis or going back up to the solar stairs where it really mattered. He could have pulled off like a massive flank onto Neox, who was planting. There was a player on the trophy window, but not that aggressive. He could have probably sneaked past it, but would he have gotten the kill on the Neox with a flank, for example? It would have been a completely different round. Diffuser was down, 3 players on the side of Deathrow. So I do hope that with this Castle and, for example, the Thunderbird as well, they can stop the players from Deathrow a little. Give them, have them take more time before they actually get up onto the side, so they aren't allowed to just walk onto the side.
I wonder if Deathrow are going to go for a slightly different approach here, given the amount of setup that's been put into that Solarium side. Jack's going to take a little bit of damage there as he just get caught out on the pre-fire. The plant's already going down. Excuse me, where is this happening? How has the site been left that empty? Kills are going to trade, but it isn't going to matter. Joe picks himself up 2 before being traded out. It's an equal 3 versus 3. Fusion hasn't got a lot of health to speak of. Curly going to go for the C4 just to try and open himself up an angle or something to work with. He's going to have to try and swing. The pre-fire is coming out. Who is going to be successful? Curly takes down Fusion, but immediately traded 1 for 1. 25 seconds, so still plenty of time here. An equal 2 versus 2. We do have a player directly on the diffuser. The shotgun sends him flying. Monkey gets the job done. Looking to push up aggressively, but he is then taken out. Now locked into the 1 versus 1. Ekeri finds the kill, and he has just about got enough time to disable that diffuser. Gets on at 8 seconds and change, and he will get the job done.
I like how we were just talking like, oh, they're bringing the Castle. They're going to try and make the attack slow down a little bit, Deathrow. And then it's 20 to 30 seconds and Deathrow just decides to walk into the complete other side of the objective. I mean, last time they really tried to rush Solar. This time, they just walked in the office, went behind the half wall, and they got the plant down. That should not be possible. I mean, if you think players are going to push from Solar, you want to have at least one person to make sure that they're not going to push office that easily. You should not be able to let that happen. I mean, now that Deathrow has pulled this off twice, right? It's like something you pull off once, maybe twice, but then you can't really pull it off more often. I do hope that Viperio 86 brings the right adaptation, probably another site. I mean, they have to now that they won the master bedroom, but I do hope they're going to make it a lot more difficult for the players of Deathrow just walking the side. I would have loved to see the Frost still in play, for example, with if they were going to jump into bar window, they would have walked into Frostmat.
Yeah,
now
for sure.
they can just jump into bar window, go for a plan behind the bar.
You look at the lineup the 86 are bringing. It doesn't smack of an anchor lineup, does it? You don't look at that and go, yeah, you've got 5 anchors. You look at that and go, well, aside from Smoke, you could have 5 roamers. Depends who's playing who. You know, you can play Mute out there, you can play Mute upstairs inside a library, no problem whatsoever. So, considering they've just been rushed, I think that they're really banking on the fact that it's not going to happen again. And I doubt that it will. It's unlikely that Deathrow's strategy is going to be, the Helios strategy, should we say, where they just go at every single round as hard as they possibly can. But they were very opportunistic. Honestly, had they then got the wall open after getting the plant down upstairs in Master, they would have had a much better opportunity of getting the job done. It was the fact that we couldn't get out of the plant position, couldn't get it from behind the half wall. But it wasn't a million miles away from coming off. It came down to a 1 versus 1, and that's never something that you can say was decisive. So Deathrow keeping themselves in contention, keeping themselves relevant inside of this game. They only trail by 2, and there's chance for them to start grabbing those back. As predicted almost, we are seeing quite an extended roam here. We've at least got Joe outside, Ekari upstairs. No one inside a library. It's just been given away straight away.
Yeah, but I do like the amount of people that are into like piano. So as soon as you're gonna cross over to piano, you're gonna have a lot of time a difficult time trying to push those players out because you can't get the cross it easily. Joe picks up the first kill, Curly gets killed as well, so we're back to a 4-4 man count. No more C4 potentially in the hands of Curly. Could be very unfortunate for the players here. Rika's getting killed as well as Adriano is able to pick up a kill. Back to a 3-3, but now Erkari and Monkey both get a kill. There's one player that looked like he was doing a little bit of a moonwalk there, but Fusion picks up a kill onto draw. And we're back to an even man count once again. Ekri still has a C4 in hand. Monkey still has 3 of his smoke canisters, but the round seems to happen quite as fast as it did last time. However, the players aren't on site now. They aren't able to plant as Monkey picks up a kill onto Adriano, leaving Fusion in a 1v2. Good go for a diffuser pickup. It's still above. There's a lot of bullets in the LMG, trying to find at least one player to make this in a 1v1, or potentially go onto the site later on.
I'm kind of surprised to not see a C4 placed on that diffuser. This nade could be crucial. If Fusion's able to land this one, he's going to see himself with an easy kill, and there it is. 86. How have you let this happen? You had a C4 left in pocket, and it wasn't used. Fusion's now been able to collect the diffuser. He's got a whole minute to try and work this one out. Big question, has he got a drone? I think the answer is no. I think his drone's caught in a mute jammer currently. So that's going to starve him of information. But Monkey is in the clutch, make no mistake. He's got 45 seconds to try and hold on. He might have 2 Toxic Babe canisters, but realistically, he needs to place them well. Now, the Finker Stim is going to increase damage if the Toxic Babes are used, but they are not required. Monkey instead just going to wall bang with the SMG-11 and lock the round in for 86.
This is where I like these lines of sight on Chalet especially, because you saw the player walking past, you get the advantage because you see where the player is and the player doesn't see you, and now we're looking at a map point for Viperio. Not a match point since we're doing a best of 3 and it would be a 1-1 map score eventually, but now we see Deathrow pulling in or calling in the tactical timeout, well, the very last chance that they have if they want to be able to pull this back to a draw and potentially a 2-0.
Makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense to use your timeout now. You get one, so you may as well use it. And it's not said and done for Deathrow. You know, it's not locked up that they're going to lose this one. 86 are looking good, but Deathrow have suffered to a couple of unfortunate circumstances. I think back to the 1 versus 1 that we got a couple of rounds ago. We've seen the last 2 rounds have gone 1 versus 1. You can't really start to base a team off the back of being able to win your ones. It's a great advantage to have, but it isn't something that's repeatable or reliable. So for Deathrow, they obviously feel like they're in with a chance here. They must really want to get this one done inside of 2 maps. But I think Viperio, they've already got their eyes and hearts almost set on that 3rd.
Yeah, they want to go to that last map. You don't want to have this be done with a 2-0 and immediately be dropped down into the losers bracket. That's where your last chance really is. So ideally for Viperio, this would go on to a 1-1 map score. We would battle it out on Coastline. Frag-heavy map, so definitely interesting what's going to potentially happen there. But we're back into this game as Deathrow's tactical timeout is over. And well, now they can't afford themselves to lose one more round, or they're looking at a 1-1 map score. Viperio 86 going for Wine Cellar, Snowmobile, a site that we don't see played that often on a map like Chalet. Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, you got to remember the timeout works both ways. Both teams have that opportunity to talk, and if Viperio have come out of that and said, you know what, these guys have called this, they think they know where we're going next, they think they know our next 3-site rotation, That is not the case. We are going to just go somewhere that you would least expect. Now, albeit this isn't... I love Chalet. I want to preface this by saying that. I love Chalet because all the sites are viable. Every single site here is very viable. It all just depends on how you play it. And whilst, yes, there is an instant opportunity to go from that snowmobile garage or that garage door straight into the site, there is also opportunity to roam, to defend, to really run teams ragged. And this basement site, it isn't that bad. I like this pick from 86. I think it's going to do a lot to throw Deathrow off.
This is a very interesting setup they have around the West Main. Ooh, Draw picking up an opening kill onto Fusion. Nate's now gone, Finkaboost gone, and LMG gone, where you can kill a lot of people with in one of your magazines. That is definitely giving Viperio the upper hand here. You're looking at a map point as Deathrow, and you're losing one of your players within 10 seconds of the round. Now you're trying to battle out a 4v5, and I don't think they know what side it is. I mean, they're trying to take the top floor. They're going to go for a very extensive roam clear here. But are you able to pull that off if you're in a man disadvantage already? Line scans coming in, not allowing the defenders to move around freely. So you see Rikus pushing up to Bathroom, all the way onto Piano, but it's Draw to get a kill. Joe picks up another one as well. And now Joe is being killed, but it's a 2-4 man count-wise, and Deathrow with 2 operators left definitely are on the back foot here, as they have 2 minutes left still. A lot of utility they have in their hands, but no real map control whatsoever.
And if you see the red silhouettes just slowly retreating back to site, they know that the job's done. They know that all they have to do now is to sit back and to watch the doorways. Sure, they've got Neox. They can try and maybe open some hatches here. There's going to be a bulletproof camera as well on the stairs. It's a pretty expensive bulletproof. Jax is going to be using the lifeline to get rid of that. Hatch now going to be open into connector. But all this is doing is just signaling and telegraphing exactly where Deathrow are now going to try and mount this push from. There's a laser gate on the garage door, so it's pretty pointless to try and go for that at this point. There's time to drone, but you really do start to worry for Deathrow here. That extension, the initial roam from 86, so successful. It cost them Joe. Now, Joe's a gunner, and he got a couple with him. But ultimately, you're going to take that every single day of the week. Neox is now calling for angles to be opened, as he doesn't know that there's going to be a player beneath. Jack does have a bit of lifeline left to try and get the job done there, but that's going to be his last charge. And still, no real line of sight being generated. Sure, you know where the player is, and you've got a vertical hole, but you still got to be able to get to them. The 40-second mark, we're starting to see Jack with the rotation. They're desperate to get this one player. He's going to even try and put shots in onto the shoes. Eventually gets the down onto Draw. They could go at this one at a time. They could try and single these players out, but they haven't got a lot of time to do so. 3 kills in 10 seconds each would be fairly impressive at this point. Neox slowly but surely creeping his way down the stairs. Blue hallway being covered as well. Ekari, I'm not sure if he knows that Neox is going to be pushing those main stairs, but there's only a handful of options left, especially as the time starts to run exceptionally short. Jack could go for a hatch drop here, and it looks as though that's exactly what he's going to do, straight into the waiting arms of Monkey. The Bearing 9 has been drawn, but the SMG is better. That is going to be Viperio winning their map of Chalet, guaranteeing us a map 3 for the second time tonight.
Yeah, if we're going for a best of 3, I love to see all 3 maps being played as well. I mean, it's the most competitive, it's the most exciting to see a match being this close, for example. Not as close as the map on Villa was with full overtime. Definitely a strong performance from Viperio 86 here, and they played that last round out very smart as well. Well, I mean, a 4-2 went down to a 3-2, and then they just held the lines. Obviously, the Zofia having wasted one of her concussions as well doesn't make it a lot easier to push onto the side. And you're going to have to refrain to hash drops and panics pushes. That didn't really work out for them after having called their tactical timeout. So that's unfortunate. Not really good for your mental, but we're going to go to a final map, and for both teams a chance to reset their mindset and to go for that last map and to get it into the back.
Absolutely, and I'm really looking forward to Coastline. I said it at the desk at the start of this series. I said I really wanted to see all 3 maps, especially with the way that we're now getting different players popping up on either side. Game 1, it was the Joe and Jack show. This game, it was Fusion, it was Curly. Other players were stepping up to that play, and I'm sure that we're going to get to see a whole lot more when we get on to Coast. Stick with us, we've got 1 map left tonight. You'd be crazy to go anywhere. We're going to be back in just a few.